Ladies and gents internet, my name is Peridiam, and regardless of whether you threw underhanded, overhanded, or just handed it to me, all that really matters at the end of the episode is that you threw. You threw the challenge. What the hell were you thinking? Throwing challenges is not a complicated notion to wrap your head around. Outside of Survivor, it's not looked upon too highly. Throwing games, throwing competitions, especially when you do it unintentionally. But in Survivor, the concept of intentionally losing a challenge has only ever been defined by the strategy behind it. And that's important to remember. Everything we're about to talk about in this video was intentional, for better and for worse. We're not talking about individual immunities, only tribal challenges, but we're going to cover every single tribal challenge throw in Survivor history, figuring out if they were good or bad ideas, dating all the way back to the very first thrown tribal challenge ever from Season 3, Survivor Africa. Believe it or not, one of the most likable winners of all time, Zahn, was the first player to pitch the idea of throwing a challenge, or at least the first to get caught on camera saying it. Ethan often gets overlooked for his strategic chops, but the way he finessed the first ever swap to the game of Survivor was fantastic to watch. Many times, throwing challenges is looked down upon, but not this time. If you don't recall, Ethan was swapped onto the new Baran tribe, with tribal lines split 3-3. Ethan immediately deduced how much the opposing tribe was fractured, and that one guy, Silas, was totally outnumbered, and his other two tribe mates were ready to vote him out. Ethan figured that if his numbers were to throw the challenge, they could go to tribal and assuredly vote Silas out, giving his original tribe numbers as they inched closer to the merge. And if they won the challenge, well, hey, they won the challenge. They're safe. So what does Ethan, the competitive athlete, the guy who has never backed down in the face of adversity, what does he do next? He throws the challenge, of course. Obviously, that's the video we're talking about. It was totally the right call too, because Silas was voted out 5-1, and it gave Ethan's tribe the numbers going forward. And then Ethan eventually went on to win the game.
This may sound crazy, and I've never done this in my life. I'm an athlete. I go out to win. I've never fixed anything. Like, what would you think if we lost this next challenge on purpose?
The immunity challenge is a win-win situation. We win the challenge, great. We don't have to go to tribal council. We lose, we end up going to tribal council, and I get to vote off, my biggest threat.
Look at the colors! Look at the colors! Look at the colors! Move that! Move that! To the front, very front. Move. We need a sharp point. Point right there, Ethan. Does that fit? No, that doesn't fit. Sambu! It's over, Braun!
Silas, tribe has spoken.
Hey, throwing challenges, not too shabby. We're off to a good start with this whole concept. Players should totally do this more often. Enter Survivor Thailand. Of course. Season 5. After winning the first two challenges, the Purple Sukjai tribe threw the third immunity challenge to vote out a player that was on the outs. Unlike in Africa, however, this was not during a swap. In fact, there were no swaps that season, yet Sukjai still felt so bold as to make this call even before a swap would likely happen. They voted out Jed, and then by day 12 went on to lose 4 straight tribal immunity challenges, resulting in 4 more of their members getting voted out by their own hand.
All I know is that the majority of us don't really care whether or not we win the immunity. We're actually hoping that we lose. We're ready to get rid of some people.
Take that one off there. Come back with that one.
Yeah. Hold on.
Chewing wins immunity!
I could do a logic puzzle in my sleep. That one that we did today, so easy. What happened? I could have stepped in. Jay could have stepped in, but did we step in? No.
Here's the problem with this throw. It wasn't needed by virtue of the timing in the game. In my opinion, the best time to throw a challenge is at the swap, because you can use that to take out the opposition while they're closer to you than ever and probably outnumbered before the merge. But if you've got the momentum and you haven't hit the swap, you don't give that up, not even for a second. The strategy here is that you use your non-allied tribe mates as buffers for when you do lose a challenge without throwing it, and then you vote those bottom feeders out. Perhaps you fear that they will flip on you at the merge, which, hey, is possible, but when a thrown challenge puts you within one player of a difference between you and the opposing tribe, I would be worried. And I've also heard rumors that they threw the next 2 losses as well, which just makes this whole pre-merge look terrible on so many levels. At this point, we've seen 1 good throw and 1 not so good throw. So, what's next? Well, I will leave it to a big, bearded pirate lord to tell us how he feels about his own crewmates hoping to sink their own ship.
As soon as he said that, I wanted to smack him and say, you know, traitor. If this was a pirate culture, he'd already be dead.
Season 7. Pearl Islands. Burton decides he wants to cut off some deadweight in the tribe, particularly Krista, a player not in his alliance. So he convinces his tribe to take their first L, to intentionally take their first L, and have Krista take a long walk off a short plank. But you can never trust a pirate, let alone one by the name of Johnny Fairplay, and what happens next is a wild turn of events where the tribe agrees to throw the challenge, to vote out Burton. But Burton doesn't know that, obviously. The Drake tribe had won the first 3 immunities out of the gate. They had insane momentum up to this point. Why Burton felt the need to pitch this idea to burn his reputation with his tribe? It felt like overplay, given the Drake tribe had not only disliked the idea, but they then used it against him. And then they lost the next 2 immunities, evening up the numbers. I'm at a loss for words.
We are, as a group, thinking about throwing the challenge. The alliance that I'm with, we're all ready to get Krista out right now, and therefore are willing to back off from the challenge and not give it 100%.
Throwing a challenge is the stupidest thing that Drake could ever do. But will I stand back and let him do it? Yes, if that's what they want to do.
Obviously, it's a strong physical battle, and your two of your strongest guys chose to sit out. Wasn't your choice. You guys have a rotation that doesn't change. Morgan wins their first challenge. Morgan wins immunity. Morgan finally on the board. Congratulations.
First member of the Drake tribe voted out. Burton. That's 4 votes. That's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
Leave it to a guy nicknamed Dolphin Boy to successfully pull off a decent challenge throw. Season 13. Cook Islands. Ozzy Lust decides by episode 2 that he wants to throw the challenge to vote out Billy. The guy wasn't doing much around camp and was a liability on a strategic level, so why bother keeping him around? Ozzy puts up his most pitiful performance in a challenge, his tribe loses, and they rather easily vote off Billy. But not before Billy found love. With Candace. From Raro tribe. You know, in hindsight, Ozzy probably did Billy a huge favor here, putting him out of his misery before his cringe-mance became even cringier. But I do want to point out that I don't love this throw for 2 reasons. First, as Jeff points out, it's incredibly risky to do that on a tribe of only 5 people, and by episode 2 before you barely know anyone. And second, the Itu tribe went into the following swap in the next episode down in numbers and lost 2 more members in episodes 3 and 4. Outside of Ozzy, the guy who initiated the throw, the entire tribe was wiped off the map by day 15. Perhaps it could have been a better idea to reason with Billy, employ some diplomatic peacekeeping, and not lose a number so early when you have even less wiggle room and less connections across the entire cast. But hey, Ozzy was 1 vote away from winning the season, so in hindsight,
We lost the challenge basically on purpose, and I'm sorry to say that, but it's something that we had to do. Billy dug his own hole by just not working, and his lack of work showed a lack of commitment to the tribe.
I think we would have won that, no problem.
You guys were catching up to them, and you guys were lollygagging.
Yeah.
JP and Ozzy decided that I'm hurting the tribe way too much, and so they were going to throw the challenge.
You believe they threw the challenge?
I know they threw the challenge.
JP, you threw a challenge with only 5 tribe members. You're already willing to lose somebody?
At this point, yeah.
In season 15, China, we have 2 of my favorite throws in the entire series. Come the swap, 2 players from each tribe were unfairly handplucked to be on the opposing tribe. Why the producers decided this should be the way the swap was handled, I'm not sure. James and Aaron were taken from the stronger red Fei Long tribe and placed at a 3-2 disadvantage on the trailing yellow Zhang tribe. And what happens next is best described as poetry in motion. PG and Jamie, the 2 leaders of Zhang, realize that they have a golden opportunity to weaken Fei Long without having to do almost anything at all. If they throw the next 2 challenges, they can vote out both Aaron and James, protect the 2 original Zhang members they just lost, and enter the merge even in numbers 5-5. So first, they don't even tell Eric, who is the third original Zahn Who, about this plan. Next, they throw the challenge in one of the most over-the-top, villainous ways possible. They are giggling the entire time, James is upset, Probst is confused, it's a trip.
PG, you good at puzzles?
I'm good at Sudoku.
Sudoku, pay attention. Talking about Sudoku, didn't he?
Jeff asked me a question, what I was gonna do, ignore him?
Yes! Yes! Was Jeff's question that important or winning the challenge? Now somebody else gotta go home.
Then they vote out Aaron. Too soon, Aaron. Too soon. And at this point, the challenge throw isn't so bad. It's actually pretty good, and then it only gets better. While I absolutely despise how this swap is handled on the producer's end, I love how it unfolds in the story of this season. Because Todd, James's ally from the original Feilong tribe, gifts James an idol, explains to him that he now needs to throw the next challenge, he needs to actually utilize the strategy that the people against him are doing to him, James needs to join PG and Jamie in the throw. And then use the idol at tribal council to blindside one of those two ladies. It is such a fun plan. The tables truly have turned. James is primed to throw the challenge. The strategist in me is going crazy. I can't believe I am watching this, and then everything fizzles out. Because the next challenge was an eating challenge and James's opponents could not eat the dish, and what the hell was James supposed to do? Just stand there? It made no difference.
Are you giving up, James? Give me a break. You gonna let Denise beat you? You got this, James.
I just want to swallow it. I can't swallow it.
Yeah, just look around.
No, come on, man.
James scores for Zahn Who.
Perfect plan, genius idea, smashed.
So even though James ultimately didn't throw the challenge, I give him kudos and I give Todd kudos for the attempt. It would have been amazing to see him bust out that idol and deliver a crazy blindside, but then I could say that at another point in the season too, so heyo. Speaking of idols, the king of idols, Russell Hantz, gets absolutely stomped by this guy on season 22, Redemption Island. Going into this season, Russell had a huge reputation for finding idols and sabotaging his own tribe in the pre-merge. He played on season 19 and 20, and the season 22 cast was not ready for him. His tribe, Zapatera, did not want to deal with his funky mess, and after winning the first two challenges, had decided they had had enough. I guess they didn't think there was any chance that Russell was on their side strategically, and so a majority of the tribe banded together through the upcoming challenge, booted Russell out of the game, and basically went on the exact same trajectory as Survivor Thailand's Purple Sukjai tribe. They eventually went on to lose 3 more immunity challenges in a row, voted out all the players on the outs, entered the merge down in numbers, and were quickly picked off by the leading Orange tribe, who was run by a man that not many people liked all that much, but respected enough to give him the win. Holy shit, YouTube. We're time travelers.
I really think my feeling is just get rid of Russell Pratt sooner than later.
Oh yeah.
You know,
sooner the better.
He'd be no good. He'd be a thorn in our side to keep around to emerge. You know, everybody else thinks that you don't want to throw a challenge. There hasn't been a lot of success in throwing challenges.
No,
because all of a sudden you're down numbers, but he's not a number.
We'll decide when we get there. One thumbs up means we're throwing it.
There's definitely a big trade-off there between keeping Russell around and getting a tarp, but the plan as it stands right now is to throw the challenge.
Rob making some progress.
Come on, Dave.
Dave barely working.
Come on, Dave.
It's as easy as that. Ometepe wins their first challenge.
If I didn't know any better, I think that they threw the challenge. Every single one of them let the challenge go. It's stupid to throw challenges when you're only 2 up. I could see if you're 5 up or something, 4 up, maybe.
Yeah.
But 2 up?
It's not until season 28, Kageon, that we see the next attempt at a throw, and from there we have a lot of throwing in Modern Survivor. Between season 28 to 36, only 3 seasons didn't have a throw on them, that being Ko-Rong, Millennials Gen X, and Heroes Healers Hustlers. On Kageon, Tony, Sarah, Trish, and Wu attempt to throw the challenge to boot Cliff, but the Brains tribe were such a train wreck that they couldn't even win the challenge despite the Brawn tribe trying to throw it. Also, gotta say, Cliff competed in a challenge involving shooting hoops, and he was a former pro basketball player, so that probably, contributed a little bit somewhat to the efforts.
Dude, we tried so hard to blow that challenge. Seriously, Green Tribe, I tried to help you out, but that team sucks.
Cliff seemed like a decent enough guy. I don't get the impression that he was this imposing strategic threat. I am not sure I've ever really loved this move by the Braun majority to go for him this early. I understand why Tony and Trish flip in the next episode at the swap to vote him out, but that was after the swap, and the dynamics drastically changed. Either way, the real showstopper happens in the following season, 29, San Juan del Sur, when Drew Christie decided to throw the challenge, again, gotta say, after his tribe had won 3 straight immunities out of the gate, because he wanted to take out Kelly Wentworth. Which, in hindsight, is not the worst idea given what happens in future seasons, but unlike us, Drew ain't a time traveler, and this move costs him dearly. Drew's alliance disagrees across the board on who to target. They don't agree with what Drew wants. Meanwhile, the women all band together to target Drew, and geez, it's just a total train wreck episode for the one Drew Christie. It really couldn't be a worse showing for one person, and I could not have enjoyed it more.
I threw the challenge today because we need to go to Tribal and get some of the snakes that are on our team off. If I don't want to win, we're not going to win, and that's what makes me the kingpin of my tribe. If I had the opportunity to throw this game, I would, and I did. Basically, I'm a badass and a manipulator of this game. Let's get Kelly out tonight, and then all these bitches don't know what to do other than come to us. Trust me, guys. They're gonna trust me. Count on it. Zen and Kelly, be on board with it or not. And we don't even trust you guys to really vote. Whoa. Dude, be real. You know it. You've been a jackass. I don't care. I want to strengthen the team. I want to get any sort of bad energy out, and I want to roll forward.
Kelly, do you agree with that?
Yeah, but who's the bad seed in this bunch? Maybe we don't all agree on that.
4th person voted out of Survivor Blood versus Water. Drew. It's 4, that's enough. Need to bring me your torch.
In season 30, Worlds Apart, we had a well-highlighted questionable throw that occurred at the swap. The blue-collar tribe was leading in numbers at the swap, and Rodney was nervous. He wanted to both protect Kelly, who was an ally swapped onto the opposing tribe, and target Joe, one of the most physically dominant players in the game who wasn't in his alliance, but was outnumbered. So far, so good. Rodney had also found a new bro date in Joaquin, and the two of them appeared inseparable. So, Rodney approached Mike about this idea he had to throw the challenge and take out Joe, and this is where things get spicy. Mike wasn't too keen on Joaquin. He feels like he will get replaced in the pecking order by Joaquin, and so instead, Mike goes along with the challenge throw idea, but turns the tables on Rodney, blindsiding Joaquin at the upcoming tribal. That said, without a doubt, the best part about this throw is how bad of an acting job it is. Mike tries harder than anyone ever to throw this challenge, and the one player that he's trying to protect, Kelly, just can't take the dub.
Come on, Kelly! Get your head in the game!
Very rarely in the game of Survivor does it work out in your favor to throw challenges. But in this particular instance, I think we have a very special situation.
Listen to me, I'm giving it to you. Just listen to what I say, I'm giving it to you. I will call out the order, but I'm gonna switch the bottles.
Here we go.
Skills at 1 and 5. You have the 2 bottles and the candelabra.
Gotcha.
Kelly, think you're right or wrong?
Wrong.
Yeah, Kelly is wrong.
By throwing the challenge today, a little something inside of me died in this game. I'm not gonna lie to you.
On season 31, Cambodia, we had a snipe of a throw occur when the swap happened and Jeremy, Steven, and Kimmy decided to take out Monica, one of their own, saving Spencer and Kelly in the process. On a 6-person tribe, the 3-person alliance realized that they had a sizable lead in numbers at this point in the game with the original tribal lines, that being 10 Bion to 6 to KO. Monica was the original Bion player that they trusted the least, and she was vulnerable, so why not cut her loose when you can? A player like her hits the merge and likely slips under the radar. So, the 3 amigos, Jeremy, Steven, and Kimmy, had a hell of a performance in this slingshot immunity challenge. Well, Jeremy sits out. According to some sources, he may have been feeling a little sick that day. They lose the challenge, head back to camp, and pull off an immaculate 3-2-1 vote by getting Spencer and Kelly to target each other, but in the end, blindside Monica. And unlike the previous momentum-stopping throws, This one didn't do that, and I think a huge reason for that was that the Bion tribe had a 4-person lead at this point. There were now 3 tribes in play instead of 2, so if they threw a challenge, it only affected one of the 3 tribes, and this was a returning player cast who were taking the level of strategy to a new height.
He's aiming at the wrong target. Fishback hits one for Anchor. That will count. Kimmy launches. And almost hits for Anchor.
Monica, what's this going to do to this crew?
I think it'll only make us stronger, actually. We'll figure out what's been going on and who you can really trust and where your loyalties lie.
Monica playing Survivor, she's just a liability because she's a loose cannon and she'd be a flipper.
She's a snake in the grass.
Yeah.
We gotta, the 3 of us, blindside Monica.
You can't count on Monica at all. She's gonna flip and flop all over the beach. Getting rid of her now would make a lot of sense.
Monica, do you think this vote is locked in?
I believe it's locked in.
5th person voted out of Survivor Second Chance. Monica.
But if you want to talk about next level, how about throwing a challenge to dethrone a queen? The queen of Survivor, Sandra Diaz-Twine, has a challenge thrown against her on season 34 Survivor Game Changers when she gets swapped for the second time onto a tribe where she is drastically outnumbered 5-2, and that 5 majority were not playing around. Amusingly, and go figure, Ozzy the Dolphin Boy helmed this decision as he desired to both protect Cirie on the other tribe and take out Sandra, the biggest target in the game, who carried a lot of influence with her. Sandra was rather helpless here despite putting up a good fight, but the writing was on the wall and it clearly said, no 3-peat for you. Strategically, I am mixed on this decision to throw this challenge. I don't think Cirie was totally screwed on her other tribe, and keeping Sandra, a huge target, in the game for a little while longer as a shield might be in Ozzy's best interest. Of course, the whole tribe was on board and Sarah was on this tribe, and Sarah did eventually win the season, so there's always that. But still, I can't get over Ozzy throwing a challenge to protect Cirie, a founding member of the Black Widow Brigade all the way back in season 16, who took him out in an amazing blindside. What a bizarre fan fiction.
People always say you can get Sandra out of this game anytime. But you know what's happened to everyone who said that? They've lost $1 million to Sandra Diaz-Twine.
Credit for the Sandra vote goes to Ozzy, because we threw that challenge, and that Sarah and I were both a little like, oh gosh, I don't know. But Ozzy was so
not since
gung-ho
Billy
about
Garcia has Ozzy said, let's throw the challenge.
Yeah.
Sandra and Billy Garcia, bookends of Ozzy challenge throws.
There we go.
We threw that challenge. We lost that challenge on purpose, just so that we could vote Sandra out and save Cirie.
Oh, really? They didn't show that on TV, did they?
Nope.
6th person voted out. Sandra. That's 4. That's enough. Need to bring me your torch. Sandra, for the first time in 94 days of Survivor, the tribe has spoken.
Don't do it, Jeff. Don't do it. Don't do it, Jeff.
And then lastly, we have season 36, Ghost Island, where a challenge is thrown by Dominic and Chelsea to take out Bradley, the guy who hated Malolo's sand, right before the merge was about to hit. And after all of this time, after all of these throws, I think it's funny that we ended on this one because this was an insignificant throw compared to most of the rest. Navidi had a huge lead numbers-wise at this point, 9-5, and losing Bradley was like the least of either Dom or Chelsea's worries. They were swapped onto a tribe of 5 where Navidi controlled the numbers 3-2, and they knew the merge was likely happening after the vote, and they feared what might happen if Bradley were to reconnect with Kellen and even possibly Wendell. Bradley was a strategist, and Dom and Chelsea didn't need his strategy going forward. And even if Kellen was going to be mad at them for doing this to Bradley, what was she going to do about it? Join Malolo? That would be a new low. The move was questionable only because of the number situation for the exact vote. Had the 2 Malolos, Libby and Donathan, chosen to vote for either Dom or Chelsea, it could have tied the vote and given them the power on the revote. But the dynamics of the tribe and the future ramifications of doing such a thing seemed to force their hand to stay put. So enjoy the Ponderosa sand, Bradley.
Here comes Dominic for Navidi. Not a dive and not really a jump. Navidi now in the water. Dominic jumps back into the ocean. Awkward again. And he does it! Malolo wins immunity. Safe from tribal council. Erasing the curse that has haunted them.
I'd just like to apologize if I let anyone down today. I was so smoked after that swim.
I feel like it's incredibly straightforward. Everyone is voting for Libby tonight.
I feel good about that, if that's what you feel good about.
It's been great talking to Libby, but nice to meet you, see ya.
We got a little bit of a decision here because we're getting close to a merge. You have to start thinking about how you're gonna survive and make it to the end of this game.
Here's my dilemma. I have the choice of taking out Libby or Bradley. Moving forward into the merge, Bradley's attitude and his short temper could be disastrous for me. So I don't know what to do at this point. I have to determine if taking this risk before the merge is going to pay off in the end.
7th person voted out.
Damn.
Bradley.
Good job, guys.
That's 3, that's enough. Wow. Need to bring me your torch.
Whew, okay, and that is going to be the long, highly questionable history of tribes throwing challenges in Survivor. I can't believe I just made an incredibly long video on that, but at the same time, I think it needs to be said, throwing challenges is not the worst thing you can do in the game of Survivor. In fact, I think it's far from it. Even if Jeff and the challenge producers will probably hate you for wasting their precious time and resources, it is a very circumstantial, strategic move that, by my estimation, seems to be worth it half the time. At least based on history. A bigger fear may arise from players choosing not to reveal that they're actually throwing a challenge when they actually are, for fear of being portrayed negatively in the event it backfires. But still, as always, Survivor is a game, and there is such a thing as addition by subtraction. Either way, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this long video. Thank you to my patrons on the screen for all your support, for throwing your money at my face to keep me in the game, and don't forget, on your way out, if you really think that you can pull it off, just take the shot. It may be worth it. And I will see you in the next one once I completely butcher this word scramble challenge. Oh, I have no idea what I'm looking at.
6-word phrase you're looking for.
Want.
What could it be?
I want.
Now tribes are turning letters over. Even I don't know the progress that either team is making. 33 days in, it is as if this is a foreign language being learned for the first time. Both teams absolutely stumped. Start thinking. Survivor. Been on for 30 seasons. I say the same 200 words over and over and over and over and over. I'm in therapy, I say the words so often.
Is that a W or a W?
It's a W.
We are 1 hour into solving this puzzle.
This is killing me.
This is now officially the longest word puzzle in our history.
He's giving us hints. Oh no.
One of those commercials. And if you order now, you get this with this and this. Complete set. Everything you need. You can see the energy for the first time in this challenge. Smiles.
Red thinks they have it. Our reward with all